This is stuff I feel like saying, but it's so inherently messy that I'm just gonna puke some sentences without regards to format. I bet it's relatable for digital creators, at least. Until about 2012, I didn't bother keeping backups much. I made music, and part of the entire philosophy was to make a finished version that I couldn't later twiddle with, render it down to MP3, probably too low quality MP3, and be done with it. When I filled the compact flash, yes, seriously, card I made stuff on, I wiped it. The data was gone. With my music at the time, I felt like I wasn't a good enough producer, probably still true, and these are the home demos, and if they were ever to be liked enough for funding, I could recreate them with the help of somebody competent. I've come to regret that in slight bits. It probably helped combat my perfectionism and tweaking, and was probably kind of correct in total, but not correct to the extent of justifying deletion, when a backup hard drive wouldn't have been that expensive. In 2012 or something, someone on the internet decided to record drums for two of my songs, and I dubbed one of them in because it worked, and my own drum track was a very, very basic drum loop you could superimpose it over. The other one had much more complex programmed drums and a rail Nintendo ending, and to try to paste his take over my stuff just didn't work. He didn't do as awesome a job on that one, so I left it and thanked him for the other one and for trying that one, but since I didn't keep the stems, I couldn't remix it. I've since noticed that I actually did keep the stems. Pretty sure that wasn't an intentional lie because I remember the pain of lying. If so, I just get that pain now instead. So it's since about then that I've generally kept all my demo stuff, kept quarterly-ish backups of everything on my laptop, piled onto a 2TB hard drive. There's not blind spots somewhere around 2018 when I seem to have lost a big chunk of unfinished data files, not the finished ones. That's what unfinished means. So I'll never be able to make remixes of that stuff unless I unpick it with audio AI. But other than that, it's there. Not just music, but videos. These shitty videos, or their original untrimmed takes, just in case I need to remaster it in future or something. Which is silly, because the untrimmed takes are in 1080 or 720. They won't remaster any better than that. And it's just stuff I'm not realistically going to go back to, except in the microscopically rare circumstance that there's some motive to. When I've wanted to grab a graphic from an old video of mine, I've gone and screenshotted it instead of finding the original file. It's pragmatic, and it's not lost any quality along the way. Maybe I could remaster that season of Mixed Emoji where I had loads of white space at the edge. Maybe that'll go on the DVD release of Mixed Emoji everyone's asking for. For a few years, I was working on a computer with a small solid-state hard drive, so I needed to clear stuff off for space. One silly aspect of my approach to backups is that I might do it via cut and paste rather than copy and paste, so it's not a second copy, it's just moving the copy onto this drive. But I probably regret the copy and paste more because that's what makes the identical duplicate files. I'm now very slowly trying to whittle those down, but it's such an endeavor, very self-involved, even by my standards, and I'm making this video, and it doesn't really ultimately matter. If this drive were destroyed, I guess I'd be annoyed, but not absolutely massively. In the very big data of full motion video, there'll be so much footage of me flubbing lines, sweating and swearing, and the dull, noisy footage of pre-color correction and pre-noise cancellation. But what if I later learn how rubbish I've been at color correction, so I might want to remaster it? For videos, it's nearly completely pointless. On the rare occasions I've gone back to access a video's working files, it probably doesn't work in the exact same way because the software doesn't work in the exact same way. Literally everything I wanted from the video is in the final file, almost always in a pure presentation. But the argument in favor of deletion is just saving storage space. And really, terabytes are affordable enough now, it's no longer a concern. Maybe I'm also thinking about saving myself the embarrassment of having my work in progress visible, but I don't know if that counts when that's work in progress that has become a finished work. Music's different because of piling up these different layers, and how maybe if I ever learned how to master stuff, I could technically make a better version of the same thing, like all those remasters of classic albums that nobody actually prefers to the classic album. I've got all this shit and I've not kept it neatly, because of course not, because I don't keep drawers neatly, because I don't keep possessions neatly, because things aren't designed to fit. So there's distinct backups that I've tried to name after specific times they were done, but what I should have done is pile it all into a single backup folder that accrues everything. Like, that can be sorted by what kind of thing it is. I shouldn't segment it by time. I can sort by date modified. Because either I've ended up with multiple copies of the same file, which I definitely thoroughly have, or I've just made it hard to find. There's also all the things I've recorded on my phone, like takes of songs, even more than those I've put on YouTube, or my own demos, or my own little ideas I forget to even title. I'm trying to sort these out, whittle them down, just so they're not an embarrassing thing for someone to find and navigate when I'm dead. But even that's really overestimating myself. Me dying won't make there be some museum of the things I didn't even want to publish. Everyone choosing to betray Prince's wishes is doing it because he was good at it. But yeah, that's a current project. Maybe to kind of unforget things that might have been good ideas and sort them into the two piles of finished things and gone things, which isn't a pile, it's just gone. Then there's backing up outside of myself. I've recently submitting to Spotify and whatever other services there are, and whatever other services there are includes those YouTube topic playlist pages that creepily always say updated today. I hesitated while taking that, but I've already crossed the moral horizon of Spotify. I've already put my music on YouTube with pointless still visuals of the album cover, so what do I gain from letting some robot do the same with adverts enabled? Well, if my entire channel gets taken down because I keep saying suicidal things, or I want to out a rapist, or just in the general rot of the internet something, it'd still be there. The automated internet seems set to outlast the intellectually honest internet. I'm not sure what I'm comfortable with there. I obviously publish my stuff to be something people could access, but when the museum is capitalism and not my own behest, I can't unexist it without some kind of copyright takedown of the contract I already agreed to. Either way, I've crossed that line now. When we assess the archives of historical figures, and I've slightly done this in my day job, we might find their diaries and shopping lists and love letters, and it might be worth publishing. Or it might disrespect their legacy to be honest about their legacy. You think about that when you get to the receipts that prove what size of condom they used. I'm very suicidal, and a lot of my hesitancy there is the tidying up of my own bric-a-brac legacy I would feel is necessary. But it literally isn't, because existing inherently makes a mess. But it's existing that I hated and want to undo. It's things I stuck up on my wall at a previous place when I had a more visually ambitious approach to decorating. It's save files in video games, especially the incomplete ones. It's landfill out in Ghana of my household waste. My DNA in the sewers. You're welcome. At least I won't have children. I slowed down on musical output, maybe due to health stuff, or maybe it's an inevitability of aging, or maybe that's a health stuff. I miss the days of whipping up 2 entire layered songs in a day, when now I put down an idea and know I won't complete it for actual years, which means I have to go and live for actual years. It frustrated me to work on the Atrophy Wife material, which we started in a hurricane of creativity in 2015, then failed to complete due to my comrade becoming unavailable. Every time we returned to it, it felt more and more like auto-archaeology than creativity. That's what happens when musicians in their 50s go and make the 30-year remaster of their old album because they're not making anything as essential now, I guess. As I can't restore this process bit by bit, I've started a new little approach of just immediate demo songwriting and publishing ideas that go straight from brain to WAV, miniature, franctimonious songs. But these are throwaway, and I still need to work on the other approach, and I probably don't have many other different enough mini ideas with me. It's just a little thing. My creativity, at least across the long term, is at an extent where I basically need an admin assistant archivist to realize and sort the things I've come up with. And that often is how creativity works, with the help of people in roles less creative but more practical. Those people denying their own creativity for a life of creative servitude. But I think some people are just less creative, more supportive. This is how it works to come at it by myself. But what I really need is to just get less wrapped up in myself and notice how it actually doesn't matter, that the time spent digging up old web files is time put to worse use than the time spent making those web files. I'm too ADHD for this. I don't live in a mess exactly, just something that flits quickly between tidy and untidy depending on what I'm well enough to tidy. I'm gonna try concatenating all those folders, maybe even kiss some things goodbye, or accept that it's fine that I don't have to. I can die with unfinished works and a phone full of old selfies from when I was a bit better looking, and they'll be left to digital entropy like everything else in the post-structural info space. Right, those are just some thoughts, the weakness of the format suiting the content. Thanks for listening. If you liked this video, you are now my admin assistant. You get my spare room, but I'll be like this to you.